and recordifying. Cool. Okay, here we are, Q&A number 9. Welcome back to Delboy's Garage. This is question and answer session number 9, end of the series, last in this current winter series, and until more silliness in the future. Just put your tea.
Well,
must try harder.
Dave has got his own cake. We've got digestive biscuit sliced caramels.
Oh, fantastic!
But Dave's made his own today.
Dave's made his own cake today.
I have Easter mud pie.
So that's a Mississippi mud pie with an Easter egg on it. That's seasonal, if nothing else.
I am jumping the gun a little bit with the Easter thing.
Well, I see one Tannex. Can I nick one of your Easter eggs?
Be my guest.
One of your Easter. No, I'll save it for later. I'll put it on my caramel biscuit. Right. Anyway, there we are with more of your questions to answer. What have we got left, man? About 20 something.
Yeah, 20 something. We're going to get cracking.
Right, let's get cracking. So in with the deep end. Oh, introductions. Oh, you know we are. This is Penny. That's who's it again?
The Jukester.
That's the Jukester, and this is the Monkey Boy. Right, so let's crack on.
Right, Vigil Batnaga. I hope I've said that right. I probably haven't. Apologies. And he wants to know, he's got an S-Rad 600.
Cool.
How would he know if the whole jetting has been done on his bike? Or does it need any more jetting to breathe and perform better?
Right. Well, firstly, if it runs right, no flat spots, no bogging, no stalling, then it's obviously, what's the right word for it?
Well, it says it doesn't idle very well.
That's not uncommon though with a
carburettor jixers don't, so I found it. I would say that it's an S-Rad. It's a water-cooled one. Well, I would say the right thing to do, if you're really concerned, is to save up some money, accumulate some funds, and go and get some dyno time, wouldn't you? Go and take the bike with a Dynojet kit, if it hasn't already got one fitted, to your local dyno studio. Now, if you look at Backstreet Heroes or Street Fights magazine from before, there's usually a map. If you're in the south, there's more speed racing. You take it along, strap it on the dyno, they'll run it up, identify any flat spots in the power curve, and they can adjust it out with jetting. That's what they do. It's time, so there's money in it.
Yep.
You might pay £200 or £300, but you'll ride your bike away and it will be like never before. It is definitely...
But I would be less concerned about lumpy tick over than I would about...
Yeah, lumpy tick over just sounds cool.
If it doesn't rev out or if it's bogging down, then yeah, okay, maybe you've got an issue. But if it's all right everywhere else, just your tick over's a bit lumpy, I wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah, well...
Cool.
Right.
Whirly Hog, carburettor question. If the diaphragms in a carburettor are wrinkled but have no tears, would they cause issues on an inline 4-cylinder engine? Or would you just replace?
Wrinkled?
Yeah, they swell, don't they? Eventually.
If they've got petrol on them,
they
do tend to get baggy. Petrol does tend to make rubber go soggy and squidgy, and then it sort of tightens up again when it's done, doesn't it? Don't know. If they're not split and all 4 cylinders are lifting, if you do a vacuum test, if you can get a vacuum tester and do a carb balance, plug it in, you'll see if all 4 carbs are pulling at the same rate. And if they're not, then replace them. If they are, then leave them alone.
Leave them alone.
And any harder than that, is it?
Cool.
Okay.
Harry Palmer. He's got a 2001 Bandit 1200S.
Cool.
He's been trying to remove the front sprocket nut.
Right.
I've kept it out of gear with someone else on the back brake and he's swinging on it with an extension bar.
We've all been there.
But it's not working.
Right, okay, here's the trick. This is what you do. Take the back wheel out, put the axle back through. So get the bike off the ground. Centre stand is okay. If you haven't got one, use a paddock stand, whatever. Once the back wheel is out, put the axle back through the swing arm so it is across the back of the swing arm. Bring the chain along the top of the swing arm and wrap the chain round the axle. Literally,
round the top.
Right round it. From the top of the axle, wrap it underneath and then stick a screwdriver through the chain. Just get a little screwdriver, don't have to be a big one, but just pin it. Pin that chain to the axle and then get a socket and undo the nut. Alright? You won't do the brakes because you've got the cush drives that are squishing. And you won't do it in gear because you'll just stress all the gears. That's all you do. Use the chain around the axle, just wrap it around the axle nice and tight and stick a screwdriver through it. I did it on a video 3 years ago, when I was putting a long swing arm in. It works absolutely every time. And when you want to do that sprocket nut back up, you do it the same way. You bring the chain along the bottom of the swing arm and wrap it around the top because you're obviously doing it up on a clockwise way, and then you pin it through the top. And obviously if you've got a right side chain, then it's the other way around. Just use your common sense.
But you can feel free to drop us a line if you want the video.
Yeah, if you're not sure, I'll find the video if you like and I can send you a link to it. It's pretty straightforward, I'm sure you get it, okay?
Kate Big S, his back tyres cupping.
Is it? You've got tea in it.
Perhaps that's the problem.
That's what it is.
It needs tea.
You need
in it.
tea, mate.
tea.
If you cup it, you need
Tea.
tea. Yeah, perhaps you
It's
need
got a
it.
lot
Right.
of tread left, but are rippled and cut.
Sounds like you've been hooning it, sir. I would say there's a tyre pressure issue.
Agreed.
For those of you who don't know what cupping means, cupping is the kind of inwards, it seems lately, for wearing unevenly. It means you get, if a front tyre's cupping, it means it's wearing to a point. You're getting two cups in the side.
We did
where
videos on this because my
Yeah.
bike, when I got it,
it was terrible.
They,
Wasn't it?
they were in a right bad state, weren't they? when
They were
got
terrible,
that?
yeah. Cupping is caused by uneven wear and the treads wearing in certain places but not in others. And it's caused mainly by incorrect inflation, over or under inflation, whichever, and it wears the tyre in the wrong way. It's crucial that a tyre carcass stays in the correct profile. If that profile is not correct due to too little pressure or too much pressure, then it will press in or balloon out at that point, and that will wear it more. So check your tyre pressures, run them correctly. If you're a heavier rider, increase them slightly. If you're a lighter rider, decrease them slightly, and so on. So it's cupping is caused by under or over inflation, and if you're not sure what that quite means, I have a video. Delboy's Garage tyre pressures and why. That's the exact name of it. Just Google that, look it up, and watch the video, and you'll see exactly there's little diagrams and tread pattern cutouts I made and everything. That should help you.
cool. Michael South, which is Gollum. We know Gollum.
Gollum,
Oh, yes.
Gollum, hello mate. How's the Harley going? He's got that cool
He's got
dinosaur.
14
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't
Street
it?
Bob. He's just had his 1,000-mile service done at Harley,
Cool.
and it cost an arm and a leg.
I bet it did. Used to be free.
He's going to do the obviously
Yeah.
the 5,000-mile service will be the next one. How
Cool.
does it affect the warranty if you do service yourself, and how does he prove it's been done?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Big question, really, isn't it? How old's the bike? 14. Okay. You've got 12 months of warranty left, my friend. Okay. The answer to your question is, if you do the service yourself and you fail to maintain, they've got to give the right advice.
Yeah.
You fail to maintain the service record by Harley Davidson, you will affect your warranty. Your manufacturer or your dealer will reject you if you walk back in there and say, I want this fixed, because they'll say you never had it serviced, etc. However, whatever it might be that you're asking to be fixed under warranty has to be directly related to the lack of a service. If it's a blemish in the paint or a blistering up of the paint on a mudguard, that's not going to be affected by the servicing, is it? It's common sense. And also, what's going to go wrong with your bike in the next year? Because after next year, your warranty's finished anyway. And how much is a 5,000 mile service now?
Well, for Harley, about £8,500.
Yeah.
It's about 500.
For the millionth time, don't exaggerate.
It's about 500, near on 500 pounds.
I think that's the point, my friend. You're paying £500 for that service. That's an awful lot of money for peace of mind. I would say that you would probably not have anything go wrong with your bike in a year that you would have to pay a mechanic £500 to
No,
fix.
No, because
you'd
there's
be
a-
very unfortunate, wouldn't you?
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And also, take all the warranty to one side, right? Take all the terms and conditions and all that BS to one side. We still have the standard rights as a
That's what I was
consumer.
going to say.
Yours-
you know this,
yeah,
don't
I was
you?
just about to say that.
Sorry, go on.
You've still got your standard rights, so don't disregard the warranty. You still have your trading rights.
Yeah,
So,
covered that in video.
Yep, we have. So,
Yeah.
The was it fit for purpose, as described, and something else?
and can I just say something else? When he says about how can you prove the service has been done, I don't mean to be funny to dealers, but whenever we've tried to sell a second-hand vehicle, whether it be fully serviced or not,
Yep.
it hasn't made a blind bit of difference
Right.
to the price they will offer you in part exchange.
Tell you what, test this for yourselves. Go into your Harley Davidson dealer or any manufacturer, Triumph dealer, whatever, and get a price for your bike. Just say, I've got this bike. I'll give you a tenner for every single one of them that asks to see the service record before they value it.
They won't.
They will not. They will value it based on its age and its mileage,
And
and
if
they'll
they can
give
sell
you
it
as
on.
little as possible. Yeah. The only time it comes relevant that it's had all the stamps is when they're trying to sell it. Funny, eh? Isn't
Yeah.
it? Because
So-
all no, full service history. There was one incident. We won't mention the salesman. A certain Harley dealer took my Fat Boy in for sale. I'd serviced it for the 5,000 and the 10,000. I took it in. It was sold on. And the book, when it was sold on to the next customer, because I know, had the stamps in it. Go figure. It wasn't stamped when I handed it over. So, you know, there's a lot of BS in that, to be honest, mate. I think it's whether you want to waste the
You've got to
500
make your
quid
own
or not.
decision.
It's your
I'm
decision,
sorry.
fella. Personally, I wouldn't even think about it.
My Harley never went wrong with it in all the time it was in warranty
4
and
years,
without
mate.
the warranty.
4
honestly.
years, yeah.
So, right, Dr. Roctor. He's just bought an 04. I love these Harley words. FLHTCSE.
Come on, Harley.
That's a tour glide, isn't it? FLH. They all mean something, don't
Yeah,
they?
they do.
CSE.
That's right. FLH. That's a tour glide. SE's the higher model. That's just kind of the all singing, all dancing Christmas tree version. I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's the full on all in model.
He's heard that Screaming Eagles run a little hotter than normal. Having said that, he's doing a fluid change on the bike. What's your opinion? Standard fluid, synthetic fluid?
Right. Okay. You mentioned that it's a Screaming Eagle bike, which it is. The SE. Screaming Eagle motors run slightly higher compression. The Harleys run notoriously lean when they're new, so unless you're running a Power Commander or some sort of fueler, Harley Protein or whatever, then I would say you definitely need to run the highest octane fuel you can get your hands on. You'll know because it runs hot as you like. I believe, actually, that bike is the one that the rear cylinder switches off when it's ticking over.
Ah, that is it. What year is it?
04.
04. It might be not. I think later on they did that. They had a
Yeah.
thing where the rear cylinder or the spark to the rear cylinder just switched off,
Yeah.
and the fuel injection switched off. So ultimately, I would say fully synthetic oils. Why not?
Okay.
Harley
Yeah.
Syn 3. That's what I always used in my Fat Boy. Harley Davidson Screaming Eagle Syn 3 oil. It's brilliant to use it in the primary and in the gearbox and in the engine. It's one oil for all of the bike. You can use it in the forks. It's awesome. It's a brilliant all-in-one oil, and it's as high a quality as you'll get for a Harley, designed for the job. Not really expensive either.
Which is surprising, actually.
Yeah,
But-
it is a good
because
oil.
you kind of assume everything that's
Oh, you
brand
pay
new
like
Harley.
Motul money for it. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like Mobil One money. It's not bad at all. It's about £12 a litre. It's pretty cool. Right.
Okay, hope that answers your
Yeah,
question.
cool.
Peter Greenslade, my bike sat for 2 years. Should he remove the spark plugs and put some oil in first before starting it? It smells of old. The oil smells of.
Cabbage.
Cabbage! People! Smells of old people. I was waiting for something quite funny there, and it stopped. What smells of what?
Also, the oil smells. It's because he didn't put the in there. I couldn't read it properly. Also, the oil smells of fuel. Please
Right.
tell me it's not a bad thing.
No, it's
smell
got to
of
be.
oil.
Well, it's better than it smelling of old people, isn't it? Right, fuel smelling. Oil smelling of fuel. All oil, fuel. It's all made of the same stuff. Crude oil. It all stinks when it gets old. So dump the oil and change it. Change the fuel in the tank.
Yeah.
Get that sorted as well.
And it's going to be, unless it has been
2 years.
mothballed properly,
Yeah.
it's going to be a carbs off and clean out job.
Yeah, brakes as well. I know we're getting off the topic, but your brakes will
Yeah.
probably be a bit seized up as well. But as far as the engine's concerned, yeah, I would take the plugs
Yeah.
out. I would inject, a quarter of a tin of WD-40 into each one, leave it overnight, and then turn it over by putting the bike into first gear with the rear wheel up, and turn the engine over slowly by hand using the rear wheel, and that will just get everything moving gently. If there's any rust particles inside the bore, just moving that piston ring up and down against it dry can score it quite badly upon it. So if you put that WD in, it soaks all that oil and makes it all loose and free, and it slides out the way. And then obviously, before you do anything, when you get that WD-40, it should run down the side of the bores, but always with the plugs out, blow it out with the starter motor before you fire the engine up as you'll hydrolock it and bend your valves.
Also,
Right. Oh.
as a final point, when you finally do
Wait
come
for
to
it,
run
wait for it.
when you do finally come to run it, as it's been stood for that length of time, I'd be tempted to put some Red X in the petrol.
Definitely, yeah. Just clear
Red
everything
X,
through.
oh my God,
Good old
that's
Red
a
X, eh?
70s.
Still works, nothing's
Fabulous
changed.
stuff.
Right.
Business as usual.
I'm missing a trick here because I didn't have a waffle beater this time.
No, we kept it away from you. We locked it, oh yeah.
They'll fashion a mallet out of it.
You might need that when the aliens come. Stick that on your
Yeah,
head,
you're going to put that on your head. That's it.
When the aliens
There you go.
come.
Hey, safe as houses.
Safe as houses. Nobody can tell what you're thinking,
So
yeah?
it doesn't go anywhere near my head.
Albert, Nico. He's on the
Nico,
forum.
hello mate, you alright?
He's got a 97 Suzuki GSX 750F, Katana 750.
Cool, very cool.
Very
Big
cool.
bad
When
tits.
I downshift and then accelerate, it doesn't give me full power. And I've got a sound effect here. It goes like this. Bar.
It's a sheep.
It's really, you've run over a sheep, mate. Just dig it out from underneath, it'll be fine.
Is it a ram air?
Oh yeah, that's it, yeah. I know I'll keep you on there. You're funny, I like you. You're my friend.
That was supposed to sound like a bike drowning.
Right, you're too near the coast again. Right now, seriously, that's, I think what you're experiencing there, my friend, is bogging. It's when an engine's got too few revs and you open it, what year is it?
97.
97, so it's a carburetted
Carburettor.
engine which throws the fuel in regardless of the revs, and it's basically flooding the spark. So the what was it? Bar.
No, they've got an R.
Bar, there's an R and an H, but the bar at the end, that's where the engine is quite simply drowning. The spark isn't enough you're pouring fuel into it when there's not enough revs to blow it through. So all you got to simply do is change down at higher revs, and you'll change up at higher revs.
Yeah,
So rev it out a bit more before. We had this with a Harley,
I mean,
actually.
they like being given a bit of a handful.
We had
don't
this question
Yeah.
on a Harley, on Q&A 1 I think it was, where a guy was getting with a Harley. Every time he was putting it into top gear,
Oh,
it was
that's
just
a glorious sound.
bogging and slowing down no matter what he did. But then we suggested that he rev it out more and then change gear later. He did, and as soon as he changed the fifth, it took off. You can change gear too early and it just bogs, and that's all that basically is. It probably could do with the service as well, like all these
that's
things.
probably part and parcel of it.
Dirty air filter,
I mean,
old
dirty air
plugs.
filter is classic for it because you're already running too
Yeah.
rich.
When was the last time you changed your air filter? If you can't remember, then you clearly need to change it.
Right, next one. Angry Cobbler, what's your opinion on
Don't take the shoes to him because he'll put nails lacing upwards.
clutchless shifting?
Clutchless shifting,
Does it
short
do any
shifting.
harm?
If done properly, there's no problem with it whatsoever.
We had this on the last Q&A, I think it was 6. It
I
was.
think we may have done, yeah.
Yeah, short shifting is what it's called. Race riders do it as a matter of course. It's where you simply shift from gear to gear without using the clutch. You just back the revs off for a microsecond and hit the lever hard, and it changes with a lovely seamless effort. If you do it right, it's lovely. Click, click, click. It's a beautiful way. You've got to time the revs, haven't you?
You have got to do it, yeah, right.
It's a knack, isn't it? It's
and,
not.
and it's a worthwhile thing actually to go or find some country lane somewhere and just practice it.
Yeah, you kind of got to be virtually just under peak torque, back it off
Yeah.
just as you lift at the same time, and then back on it, and you'll find it works really well and doesn't do any harm whatsoever. But
I
obviously,
mean, it does vary depending on the bike. I mean, a well-designed gearbox,
Yeah,
you know,
any of the Jap
I mean,
stuff.
well, any of the Jap stuff is fine.
Yeah, do you know what? Even my Fat Boy, even big Harleys, you can short shift them quite easily because modern gearboxes are really clunky. But old gearboxes are clunky, modern gearboxes are really slick. If you do it on a bike and you get this horrible clunk and you're getting it wrong, then yes, that's doing damage. So the answer is it's up to you really whether you're good at it or
But
not.
we've got to move through these questions. 'Cause
Shifting right.
so many lovely questions. We've had so many lovely questions.
We have, right, let's get them all in this time. We won't miss anybody this
Michael
time.
Tucker, can you tell me how to measure the rake degree of my front end of my bike? What does it mean when a chopper and it says its forks are 8 inches or over?
8-inch overs, right.
Right, this is on view because it's got maths in it.
Oh God, yeah. Right. Well, the rake and the trail.
I think what he's asking is, what's the question
How do you
again?
measure the rake and the trail?
Yeah.
How do you measure the rake?
Right.
Rake
Well, that's
degree.
the angle.
Well, the
from
rake,
right
the rake simply is the angle that the forks are to the
to 90 degrees.
vertical.
Yeah,
That's-
tonight.
That obviously that angle. If it's greater, you get a sort
Yeah.
of slower steering response, longer wheelbase. If it's shorter, you get
Faster steering.
much faster.
Stands them up more. doesn't it?
Allied to that is trail, which is, depending on how you measure it, is the distance between a fictional point of the centre of the steering head and the wheel spin. Yeah.
Sorry, I feel
Yeah. As you increase
I've
the
already
rate, so
gone.
you increase the trail, and yeah, all the rest of it. But how you measure it is.
Well, why do you need to measure it?
You don't really need to
In fact,
know exactly what it
You
is.
don't need to measure it because it will be on Bikeairs or any of
Yes.
these specification websites. If you go into your manual, your handbook that you got,
It will tell you.
it should tell you the rake of the forks. I don't understand any reason anybody would ever need to know it unless you're building a frame, in which case you dial in the rake when you build the forks.
But if you're talking customs, I assume he is because he mentions 8-inch overs.
8-inch
overs.
The overs is literally the length of the fork length.
Over the standard.
Over the standard
Yeah,
length.
so an 8-inch over is a fork 8 inches over the length of the standard
Yeah.
fork. So if the first standard fork is 30 inches, these will be a 38-inch over. So they're 8-inch overs, they're 38 inches long. And that's measured from the top of the fork to the axle point.
Yes.
isn't
That
it?
answers that one because we've got loads
Okay.
of lovely questions.
Frame building sort of questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Noogie J, helmet resprayed, is it a good safety thing to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the days of 1970s polycarbonate lids
Yeah.
have,
And paints.
have long gone.
Again, let's refer to our friend Milo. He would always advocate waterborne paints, as he
Yeah.
called them, or I think in the UK we call them water-based paints. If you use a waterborne paint and it's done with the right chemicals by a competent professional, then it's absolutely fine,
Yeah.
isn't it? And I would say don't do it yourself unless it's something like a water-based paint. I mean, I did blackboard paint on a lid. You know, any paint that's washable in water, any rinsable in water is absolutely fine. But professional paint jobs, absolutely fine, no
Yeah.
problem at all. It's common business.
James Robson says, what is the difference between bike manufacturers when it comes to reliability? He's talking Chinese bikes, KTM, BMW, Honda.
Or not Chinese bikes.
Oh, not Chinese bikes.
Not Chinese bikes, yeah. So
I've had
anything
too much
except...
sugar. Because he says that a lot of the bike magazines and the dealers talk about how reliable a modern bike can be if it's well looked after.
Quite right.
Yeah, I mean,
And an old bike.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at guys, what's that guy's name around the world on an Enfield?
Yeah.
You know, when you see that nothing's unreliable, it's just whether or not you have to pay attention to maintenance and fix it. All of the Jap bikes.
Any Japanese bike, any European bike, any American bike that rolls off a production line today, tomorrow, the next day,
Totally reliable.
notwithstanding some unforeseen cock-up, will be totally reliable. They just are.
Yeah.
Everything works.
We don't have points anymore.
No.
We don't have magnetos
No,
anymore.
no.
We don't have unreliable. Because most
You don't
things
even
that-
have to put water in your headlight anymore. You know?
Yeah, as you used to on your lessons. I think that's the point, isn't it? You look at most of the unreliability of older bikes was the weak links. It was the electrics.
Yeah. I mean, Italian bikes don't work in the run, do they?
Well, it's the electrics.
But even that, you see, I mean, that's
Well,
you
they do
know,
now.
That's a throwback to 30 years ago.
Again,
They
that's
do,
a
they
joke.
do.
Let's qualify that. That is
Yeah.
actually a joke.
I mean,
because a modern Italian bike is as reliable
30
as a
years ago,
Japanese
that
bike.
statement was true, but now it's not true. I mean, they are.
Well, as with a British bike.
Yeah.
A 1960s or 70s British bike, you try and ride it all year, you've got to be a mechanic, really,
Yeah.
or no one,
But that's no longer the case.
or have something on one.
That said,
Technology's
Chinese
moved on,
bikes,
basically, hasn't it?
Chinese bikes, I wouldn't touch one with a barge pole.
No. Well,
I,
the thing
I
with-
understand
We've heard some
I
horrible
understand the
stories.
economics of buying cheap.
But then
and
when we
throwing
look
it
at
away.
it, I recently I've just got the LED lights for the final video of the project. Found them on Amazon, $9.99,
Yeah.
and they were 99 pence.
Yeah.
Same ones from China.
The difference
Same
is, isn't
things.
it, if you've got a European manufacturer
It's
operating out of China, utilising the cheap labour, etc., etc., etc.,
it's there.
you're still going to get a European standard part.
Well,
if you're buying a Chinese manufacturer's
Agreed, yeah.
item made in China, it's going to be a pile of shit.
It's their own, yeah. Well, this is the same. Look at Thailand. They now build Bonnevilles.
Yeah.
They build the Scrambler and the Thruxton,
Yeah.
and the Ducati Scrambler
Yeah.
is now built in Thailand.
Yeah.
So if you were to denigrate the products built in Thailand, you're talking about
Yeah.
these bikes here.
Yeah.
So
So what did they say? That's the difference. Isn't
The
it?
point is they're
that's
built-
that's a Ducati made in Thailand.
Yeah.
It's not a Thai copy
Yeah.
of a Ducati.
exactly, that's the point.
But it's a massive topic. We could
It is. You
talk
can go on
about
about
it
them forever.
all
So
day.
that's
Yeah.
basically it. All bike manufacturers are reliable in today's market,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Sean Finnegan, when you use Loctite, grease or sealant or other adhesives on bolts and nuts, is there a golden rule?
Don't use the wrong one.
Actually, if you go on Loctite's website,
Yeah.
they have a big poster thing
Ah, cool.
which tells you what all their products are and what they're for.
Oh, perfect.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Download that and off you go.
Lovely.
Brilliant stuff. Okay.
Mr. Biker Tom Tom, what do you think of the new bike licensing laws? I think we've covered this slightly.
Yeah.
And how it
Yeah.
affects young people wanting to get on a bike. We could talk about it all day.
It's
but
the
we
same
can't change
answer as
anything.
no. It's the same answer as before. It's bullshit. That young riders are being put through the ringer for no apparent reason. I have no idea why. You could say that it's to coincide with Europe. It's the whole Europe thing. Vote UKIP, get out of all that old stuff.
Yeah, that's a bit of a cop out.
Of course it is, exactly. And in my view, personally, it's politicians making rules on things they don't understand.
That's exactly it.
Simple
Yeah.
as that. But isn't
Yeah.
that the same with life?
Yes.
Isn't it?
You have to
There we
go with the flow. You've got
Big
no choice
subject, mate.
sometimes.
Next time you meet us at a bike meet, we can discuss it over a cup of tea.
Well, yeah, it will cost you a cup of tea.
I was going to say, you have to buy them.
No, he's only on the place. Come on.
Tanner Gibson, when you're looking to restore a bike, what points should you definitely check? He's trying to fix up a 2000 Katana 600 that's been in the garage for 5 years.
That's a GSX 600.
Yeah.
He doesn't know much about condition, but
How
he
long
knows
for it?
5 years. But he knows that the forks need alignment. Well, we've got a video on
That's
fork
that's
alignment.
easy. That's nothing. I'd
Yeah.
say 5 years laid up, and it's a Japanese 600.
Just
I'd
a
say-
service, you'll be
Honestly,
halfway there.
You're not much, mate. Just give it a good service. Make sure nothing. Do what we just discovered a few
Yeah.
minutes ago. The oil in the bores. Make sure it's ticking over all right. Does it run? A few things we haven't really covered. Does it run? Is it okay? Do the brakes work? How is it now? But I would say if you're restoring it, focus your attentions on the mechanical stuff first, because that will eat your money. There's no point in making it shiny if it still
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
work. All right, you can't polish.
Cool. Yankee
luck with it,
Doodle.
mate.
Yankee Doodle.
Yeah, you are, Chris, mate.
He's just cleaned and stripped the rear caliper, and he's got to then do the fronts.
Cool.
But the brake fluid is getting a little darker in colour, so he's going to change it. Is there a quick way to do it?
Yeah.
And also, are the sweatband type covers any good to prevent damage from the sunlight? Actually, someone noticed mine the other day.
They did.
Yeah.
The sweatband covers are just for effect. They don't do anything, do they? They're a relic from the old race track days of the 70s where when the brake systems got hot, they would expand the fluid and that would push it out of the reservoir cap, and it would then go down the side of the bike and trash the paintwork, so they put them around it. It isn't really for anything, and sunlight doesn't degrade fluid, really, does it?
Not really.
I'd say with your fluid, the simplest possible way is this. You take the cap off, you get a big plastic bag and you get a big wad of kitchen paper and you soak the black dirty fluid out of the reservoir. You absorb it out into that and you chuck the paper in piece until that reservoir's dry. You then fill the reservoir with fresh clean fluid and then you chase that down through the system so it's completely solid. You don't introduce any air. Just bleed one reservoir through the system and you've changed it.
Done.
10-minute job, mate, honestly, easy peasy. If you get stuck, I've got a video, because it shouts in your link.
Cool. Now these next two questions are around the same issue.
Right.
AUWDA, Ooda, is it?
Older.
Ooda.
Yoda, is it?
Right name properly, you will. Okay.
And it's also asked by Raymond McGarver, Suzuki Goof.
Hey, yeah, mate, good luck with the project.
So Aruda says, sounds like I'm saying Aruba, doesn't it?
You can go on the question anytime today.
You're going to start dancing in a minute, aren't you? Aruba!
Are you going to do any videos on valve clearances or any other things related to inside an engine?
No.
For example, a clutch. And Suzuki Goof, Raymond, says the same thing. He needs to do the valve clearances, but he's never had the rocker cover off a bike ever. Mm-hmm. Is it a job they should take on?
Therein lies the issue. We said this earlier, okay, we say this every other Q&A we get asked this. I have always shied away from making videos that take you inside your engine. The reason is that a mechanic who's qualified and got certificates on the wall will go to college for a year or two to learn the understanding of the inside of the engine and the understanding of what can go wrong if you make a mistake in your adjustments. You and I and the other monkey boys in the world go in with a blind set of video instructions based around you do this and you do that and it'll work. You don't understand, because you're not a mechanic, that if you make a serious mistake, say with adjusting your valve clearances way too tight, you're then going to leave the valve open. It's not going to shut properly when the engine's running. That's going to burn that valve, or worse still, break a spring and then send the piston, send the valve down onto the top of the piston and cause major engine catastrophic damage. It worries me that I put you in a road that you can't back out of, or up a creek without a paddle, so I've always shied away from it. Honestly, how much can it cost? What's the set of valve clearances to take to a mechanic?
It's more of a time issue because they need to be done cold, isn't it?
A couple of hours, isn't it?
Yeah, so you'll have to leave it with them probably
overnight. They're not going to charge you for that overnight.
No, they're not going to charge you for
it's
that.
The labour.
It's
couple of hours.
Couple of hours.
100 quid. You know, to me, it's like a lot of these jobs. It's money invested. If you're not sure and you don't know the basic principles of how valve clearances work, the other side of it is on Kawasaki's you've got to take the cams out to get to the shims to replace them. You have to know what size shims, because you've got to buy them. So
Yeah,
can band it, isn't it? You just lock them out adjusters, you just adjust them.
Yeah, whereas shims is a camshaft out job, measure up what
Well,
you've
you
got in
can
there.
lever
then
the
you've
buckets down, can't you?
Then you've got to order the right size
There's
shim.
specialist tools involved. If you've got to lever the buckets down to get the shims out, put new ones in, that really is technical stuff, isn't it?
It could be hours bending that screwdriver, couldn't it?
Ding. Honestly, the worst thing in the world is when you make a mistake and then have to take it to a mechanic to unravel it. It's humiliating, embarrassing, and probably a lot more expensive than getting it done.
Then
in the
he'll
first
charge you 10 hours labour.
Absolutely, because you've got to unpick the damage and stuff that you've done. So I would say be very careful of not knowing where to back off. It doesn't hurt to get it done. And also the other question, does it need to be done?
Oh, I mean, this brings us back to the reliability of a modern engine.
There's, what was it I read yesterday? There was somebody on the Bandit forum was saying that it's common for Bandits to get to 60,000 miles and they've never had the rocker cover off. Honestly, they recommend them every 15.
Yeah.
But is that servicing? Is that pandering to the dealer's service?
Well, mine's
Profits?
just about to come up to 40,000 miles.
And it's never
and
been
I've
off.
never had the rocker.
No, and we're not suggesting don't bother doing
No.
it. We're saying that don't worry so much that it's the end of the world. The Tiger that I'm riding around at the moment, I've done 6,000 miles on it since bought it last year, and the shims are due to be checked, but I'm really not going to bother at the minute. I'll probably do it in the spring. I'm certainly not going to stress over it. So ask yourself whether it's relevant or whether it's needed. But in the future, I think, contradict maybe everything I've said, I may well get involved and just do a Bandit one for that GSXR based motor when the motor's out of frame, and that's something
But as we've always said, we're always happy to show you how to do little jobs.
Yeah.
But we would never do something that takes you beyond your comfort zone, or you shouldn't do it if it's beyond your
Or
comfort
puts
zone.
you in a place that's going to cost you a lot of money to
Yeah.
back out. Or I wouldn't want you wrecking your engine and saying you learnt it on Delboy's Garage, because that's not cool at all, is it? That can spoil your whole day.
No.
Right, next one for us.
Okay. GW Jack, my question's about waterproofs. Last July, 4 of us toured Scotland, and on the 3rd day in the Highlands it rained rain of biblical proportions.
We had that
Frogs.
from the Bulldog, didn't we?
You did, yeah.
Oh.
Frogs, cats, dogs, cows,
Yeah.
everything.
And
Fantastic.
none of our waterproofs were.
Yeah, I know
that's
that
about
feeling.
right, yeah,
I've
yeah.
never been so cold and wet.
And pissed
Do
off.
you know of any waterproofs that really
There
are?
are.
Vauxhall Nova. They're quite waterproof.
I would say there's two
Anything
answers to
with a
this. Yeah, that's it, yeah. Stay at home.
Yeah,
No, there's
well,
two answers, isn't there? There's the cheap and the most expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
You go to a pair of rucker trousers and a rucker jacket, they are going to be waterproof. They will, as sure as the sun comes up in the east, they are waterproof. Both Penny and I invested in some a long time ago, like 8 years. I've had my rucker suit now. I'm on my second jacket and second trousers because in the 5-year guarantee period they were both replaced and re-waterproof them every few months, and even in biblical rain you don't get wet. But you're going to be spending well upwards of £1,000 for a rucker suit.
Which
On
is
the
a
other
big
hand,
investment, isn't
it's
it?
a
big investment.
it is, but it's we
How
looked
many,
upon it.
how many, you know,
How many cheap
cheaper
suits?
suits
Yeah.
you're going to keep
And how
buying?
many days do you want to spend wet? You know, it's an expense you can justify when you're cold and wet, the rain's running down the back of your knickers, and it's -2. Yeah, I wish I'd spent
We've
£1,000
done some
on a rucker suit.
The other end of the spectrum.
Well, at Nellie's suit.
Yeah.
Nellie's got an Oxford.
What the one he
packer
lost
mat.
on the way to Salisbury.
Yeah, but they are. He done that. He threw it away. Didn't he? I think he threw it because it probably ripped it.
It was
I think
there
that's
when
the
he
other
left
thing. Is the motorcycle oversuit. You can buy them from Oxford products, can't you?
Yeah.
The big Pack-A-Mac massive oversuit. Put them over your actual waterproof, so it's kind of a second line of defence. You will stay dry. Oh yes, you will. I mean, you don't last forever. A season, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Well, I have this, say, the gear I use to ride to work, I have exactly that. I have the normal gear, and then I have a pair of cheap and nasty leggings that just go over the top of everything. And then, you know,
Yeah.
come the spring when it's not so wet, they'll go straight in the bin.
Yeah.
And in October, I'll go and buy another pair.
Yeah, that's it. I think Oxford suits about 30 quid.
They're peanuts.
They're peanuts
absolutely
by comparison,
So
so-
it's buy cheap and nasty often, or it's buy
I'll tell
something
you
really
what,
really good and buy it once.
because you can buy reasonably cheap waterproofs and then a big old packer
Yeah.
suit over the top, I probably wouldn't buy a rucker suit again unless I was doing
No.
it as a living.
No.
You get, if you're an instructor or a daily rider, a dispatcher or something, I'd say yeah, you need a rucker
Yeah.
suit, but I certainly wouldn't probably do it. You know, a donkey jacket and jeans and a Pack-A-Mac suit.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I say I tend to buy cheaper stuff, but that's mainly because I haven't got the kind of money
Yeah.
to invest in rubber.
well, the other thing, if you're doing a trip around Scotland, make it part of the preparation for your trip. But purchase a brand new all-in-one waterproof suit.
Yeah.
Your little stirrups in the bottom, don't you?
Yeah.
With welly boots on. You can even get them. Have you seen the? I've got a pair.
Yeah.
They pull up like a
Yeah.
waterproof galosh. It goes right up to your knee, zips over your boots. You can still wear your
Like a
Dr.
similar
Martens.
thing for your gloves.
Yeah, big old mittens,
Yeah.
spot ones.
Yeah. Trouble is when they do fill up with water, it can't get out.
Right.
And I have had that.
That's it.
So hopefully you'll be a bit dry
Hopefully
in
that'll help you.
2015. Barry B says he's got a GSX 750F. Yes, a teapot, and don't snigger.
Ah, lovely.
Nothing
Cool
wrong with
weight. No,
Um,
GSXR motor.
He wants to swap the clip-ons for some bars. He's
Oh,
seen
right.
expensive bullet kits for a lot of cash
Yeah, yeah.
because the yoke is not normal.
No, they've got a weird yoke.
Have you
seen
got
it?
any Monkey Boy alternatives?
Yeah, easy. Do you know what I mean? They've got a rubber-mounted top
Yeah,
yoke
I
that's
know.
got
Yeah.
it's got the clip-ons that
Yeah.
push into a
I know,
casting.
Yeah, I know the ones.
And normally on most yokes, what you find is that when you turn it, you can drill through. You
Yeah.
can buy the billet bar clamps, and you drill them through. But where you try and drill through a lot of them, if you turn them over, there's a web there,
Yes.
and you can't really bolt safely to it. It ain't clever. So what I would suggest is GSX 750F. Right?
I've got a
I'm
feeling
thinking Bandit 12. Have a look at the geometry. That's to say the triangulation measurement between the headstock nut
Headstock and the
and the two top of the forks. Fork diameter.
Diameter.
Look at the 600 and 1200 Bandit. Look at all years of the Bandit, right from the 90s right through to today. And I would imagine a cheap second-hand Bandit top yoke would do it.
Yeah.
It should fit. I looked at some pictures preparing for this on Google Images, and when you look at your yoke and you look at the yoke on the Bandit, you've got the cut out at the front for the ignition switch, you've got the cut out the back for the nut, and they look to be, just glancing at photos, they look to be similar.
And
So,
this is another place where forums come to the fore, don't they?
yeah,
I mean,
go on the Bandit forum, go on the GSX forum.
somebody somewhere will have asked that question
Also,
once already.
GSXR, it's not going to fit, is it? It's got to be a Bandit, isn't it?
I'm thinking Bandit.
It's got to be a Bandit, really, because one thing that manufacturers are good at is saving money by utilising the same components. So things like the forks and that sort of thing, and the tooling.
Yeah, they
casting the yokes.
They won't want to deliberately make more tooling than they absolutely
That's
have.
right. So I would imagine that a Bandit yoke, check out top yoke for a 12 and 600 Bandit, you might find it just swaps straight over, then you're on second-hand eBay, 10 quid.
Yeah.
Easy.
Cool. Glenn Makin, interested to know your thoughts on bike mods, the concept of making a production bike faster. Is it a money pit? Or should you just go and get a quicker bike? Or do you need to improve your skills and confidence and get the most out of your current bike? Because most bikes now can outperform their riders.
Correct.
That's, yeah.
Very
Well, I have a very simple stance on this. Whatever you do to your bike, do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because you think it's going to get you an extra 10 mile an hour or it's going to make it more
That you
valuable.
won't use.
Yeah, just if you want to put rear sets and clip-ons on it because that's kind of who you are, put rear sets and clip-ons on it. But don't go running away with the idea that you're you're necessarily enhancing it. Do it for your own satisfaction.
Yeah, I would say also don't be fooled into thinking faster is better, because sometimes if a bike is more of an animal, it's actually not as pleasant to ride. One thing I found when I had the Hayabusa way back a video, I part exchanged it for a Triumph Scrambler. I know without doubt round the streets I can ride the Scrambler faster with more abandon and more fun and smiles any day than I could on a big, brutal, scary Hayabusa, because Hayabusa's great on an autobahn, it's fantastic horses for courses. Also the same with these hyper bikes like Jits 1000 cross-plane R1s. They're fantastic bikes for what they are, but sometimes they're too much. Too much is sometimes more than enough, isn't it?
There's a large roundabout at Petersfield off the 272 where the old where the Power Rangers come down from Loomies and go around that. Well, in the rain, I could get my Sax 650 down there faster
than anybody on a blade.
Just about anything else
on a fireplace.
Yeah.
This is the point, isn't it? If your bike's not currently quick enough for you, then the answer to your question, I'd buy a quicker one. Because a bike is not just about how fast it goes. Every motorcycle's total performance, if you encompass it all, the handling, the braking, the steering, the go, the stop, all of it in one. It's a balance. If you're going to make it faster, you're going to put that bike out of balance, and then are the brakes up to it, is the steering up to it, and more importantly, are you up to it? If you can look at something like the R6 Cup, the bikes on the R6 Cup are lapping 1 point something seconds slower than World Superbikes, you know, or whatever. So honestly, really, do you need more power, or is it just all about trousers?
Yeah.
You've got to ask yourself.
But if you want to do it. But
yeah, I'll tell you what's the thing.
With those
imagine barrelling into a corner. It depends how old you are as well. You go barreling into a corner on your R1, and then a kid on an RS125 pisses through you on the inside and gives you something like that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
deeply irritating.
Deeply irritating and quite humiliating. But unfortunately, that's the point. It's all about the neck and the balls you've got. Whether you want to ride that fast, I don't know. Don't need it half the time, do you?
No.
Hope that helps.
You mentioned the Hayabusa. Lewis Baldwin says, what are your thoughts on headers versus slip-ons for a 14 Hayabusa?
Slip-ons. Don't see the headers, do you?
No.
You don't physically see them.
No.
You don't need to see them unless you're building a fighter, and the headers on the Hayabusa are perfect for the Hayabusa. You're not going to increase the power. Same, just refer you to the question we gave some moments ago. You don't need more power on a Hayabusa, you just need more noise.
Let's face it, Mr. Suzuki went to a lot of trouble to make the fastest production motorcycle in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure that I'm arrogant enough to know how to improve it.
No, it depends on the system, mind you. I think sometimes if you really want something that's super lightweight, go to the GSX 1400 Suzuki. Their header pipes are double skinned, effectively 8 pipes, and they weigh, wait for it, 20 kilos. I took the whole system off the GSX and I put the headers with the collector box and the two big massive silencers, stood it on the bathroom scales, 20.4 kilos. I put the Akrapovic 4-inch system one, literally 5. So there is an issue with weight, but on a Hayabusa,
I don't think with a Hayabusa that's a problem.
On some bikes you will, but not on a Hayabusa. XJRs, things like that, you know,
Yeah.
GSX 14s, yeah, you need it, but not on a Hayabusa. Just stick some nice cans, perhaps Akrapovics or something, or Propovich.
Something like that, yeah, depending on how you pronounce it,
Or a Dan Moto. Little megaphone. I'll tell you what's cool. I'll tell you, what's that one, the Roaring Toys? I absolutely love them. They're just little megaphones that fit down under the main stand.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
The kind of American California sunshine candy paint style stuff that goes right down. It's a little slash cut. I love them. And they sound glorious. absolutely awesome. So, don't know, for me it would just be a little tiny short silencer one side. Don't you? I would.
Cool.
Hope it
Okay,
helps.
Mr. Marshall says, I'm seeing a lot of dealers producing specials and one-off bikes, especially Triumph. They seem to attract a premium over and above the standard bike. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether these are a good investment for the long term.
Well, there's that word, investment, and that's
Yes.
key to the question, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. The last thing they possibly are is an investment. These are dealers. Oh, this is what this is. It's dealers tonsing up bikes to sell the models, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most dealers, when they sell mass production bike, they get registration bonuses. There ain't much profit in them. Probably 200 quid, 300 quid profit for a dealer when they're selling a brand new Bonneville. There ain't much. But they will make a large sum of money when they sell so many, won't
Yes.
they? They ring the bell, that's their production bonus or their registration bonus. So what they need to do is ping those bikes out. And thankfully, they've got a gift in the likes of television programmes with David Beckham and friends riding round, you know, in a big four-wheel drive truck and doing the odd mile on a little bike that's been prepared for them.
The camera's on.
Put the cameras on, ride in the rain in a t-shirt for 5 minutes, crash, not actually him but someone else, and then everybody, every dealer and his wife is flogging a bike like David Beckham's. Great, it's all styling, isn't it? It's hipsterism, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's people
Oh, well,
buying...
that's funny because the next question
They come to
refers to
No
the
hipster thing.
thing.
Personally, no. The actual question to answer, mate, is that they are not an investment in any way, shape or form, are they?
No.
They are simply an accessorised bike that you pay every penny for every accessory. And you don't get the standard parts in a box given to you either, do you?
You're worse off, aren't you?
You are.
You're buying a bike and accessories just at the same time.
Yeah. If you buy a standard bike and you put a Zard exhaust on it and a rack and a funny seat, then you keep all the spare parts go up there in the loft.
But if I buy a bike and I want accessories on it, I want it done to my taste.
That's it.
And to what I want. I don't want somebody to determine what they think I might want.
That's right, yeah. You have to. It's like a set menu, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's what
But
do
then
they call
that's
it?
almost like a set menu when they're customising these bikes. It's a set menu. It'll be small indicators, flat seat,
It's the
take
brat
the back
style
end
thing.
off,
Yeah.
and paint.
A seat made in Caramac brown.
Yeah.
I've been to the old lines at Longleaf. Paint it matte green or matte brown, put some knobbly tyres on it, put a Zard exhaust on it, and then suddenly it's a special and it's worth £9,000.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong. I think personally they're only an investment if they're a proper factory limited edition. And when I say factory, I mean at the factory.
Yeah.
If you go to an RSV Millie SP, what are they, 25 ever?
Yeah, not very many, are
They were
they?
25 grand instead of the usual 6 or 7 or whatever they were. And I think if you look at something like a Foggy replica, they were a proper limited edition, weren't they? Because each and every one was made by
Bonneville Silver Jubilee Special.
Absolutely.
1977.
proper special. And when you look at the secret to work out what they are is look in a Glasses guide or a Parker's guide. If they have their own page, then it's a proper limited edition.
But that's
and
because
it
it came out of the factory like that.
like that.
It hasn't turned up to some bloke to bolt some bits on.
If it's Joe Sprocket motorcycle special and he's got some extras on it, no, it's not worth any extra money at all. And like you just said, quite rightly, you probably want to tonce it up yourself and do it the way you want it. And all the parts are out there.
Yeah, they're all
All the
there.
manufacturers are out there. So no, I'd say they're a bad investment. You know, Crayford Conversions Cortina.
Because
Lotus
if you
Cortina.
paid $9,500, we've seen one advertised recently, $9,500 for it, and you then tried to trade it in a year later, you wouldn't get anywhere near that figure.
No.
Because they would rate it as a standard.
That's the point. Yeah.
In actual fact, when you do see some of these accessorised bikes going on the second-hand market, it's actually a good selling point if you've got all the original bits.
Yeah.
Which,
that's
if
right.
you've done it yourself, you will have.
Yeah.
If you've
Well,
bought it out of a dealer, you won't have.
Exactly the same. You go to any, look at, say, muscle cars. You get an RT car, a genuine muscle 440 RT. It's a proper factory limited edition car, and it has value.
That said, if you'd
it's
like
not
to come round to
someone
my garage with £15,000, I'll quite happily make you one.
But that leads on
Oh, there
to,
was-
that touched on a little bit. PJD 1366 said they wanted to hear your thoughts on the current trend that seems to be abounding at the moment of hipsters, hipster bike shops, and hipster bikes seem to be everywhere. They
Yeah,
Hipsters,
I'm going to have to be
boutique.
very careful. In fact, it's probably favourite if I don't say
I term it all under one heading: boutique motorcycling.
Yeah.
It's the attempt at attracting the fashionista, isn't it?
Now that's a great word.
That's a great word. Do you like that word?
No,
Do you like
yeah.
that word? I like the word.
Sounds
It's
like an
attempt
ice
at
cream.
the people. It is, isn't it? You can get them in Tesco.
Yeah.
I think it's one of these things where currently we have a fashion for people walking around with German submarine captains' beards and slick haircuts and skinny jeans and blimp soles. It goes to the whole fashion victim thing. A lot of the people who are riding bikes around. It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because rather that than high vis and top boxes.
Yes.
You know, let's say fashion's cool. You and I walked, when we first rode, it was denim jeans and a donkey jacket and Dr. Martens, and it was cool.
Yeah.
But it's, to my mind, I think when you look at any of this fashion stuff, it's going to fade. It's going to move on. So just don't invest too much money in it.
No.
That's the point, isn't it? Don't go and buying a Triumph that's got all the
exactly.
the Brat style seat, spending 12 grand on a Triumph that's been tonsed up by a dealer to look hipster, and then next year find out it's not. Because there was a documentary on the TV, a guy who's got a custom shop in California, and he had in the corner, he had a bike shop full of Brat style hipster bobber bikes, bobbers, matte black, everything was cool. And right in the corner, he had an OCC billet barge chopper, big long forks, chrome, candy paint. And he said, you know what, there's a time when I was selling them for 50 grand.
Yeah.
He said, I couldn't get 15 for that today. It's worthless. But this rusty thing with wrapped pipes, I'll get 15 for that in a heartbeat, and it's worth 3.
Yeah.
See, it's just about fashion. So don't invest too much in fashion and you're fine. Just enjoy it while it's there.
And I think that's probably where I have a problem with the whole thing.
Yeah.
It is, you know, for me, bikes are for bikers, and, you know. But then on the other hand, anything which puts bikes on the road is a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
But,
especially seeing as motorcycling needs all the help it can get.
It
The
certainly
legislation
does. It certainly
seems to be
does.
working against us. So wherever you ride, as long as you ride, it doesn't really matter. Just like I said, it's just as long as you don't invest too much in the whole fashion boutique side of it, which when you look at some of the shops these days, you know, 90 quid t-shirts with the latest name on it, you know, you be careful of that, but that's up to you, it's your choice, isn't it? Hope that helps in some way. How are we getting on?
That's it.
Blimey,
wow.
we haven't done. What are we going to do for the next 10 minutes?
Oh, I don't know.
Should we have some music and some roses?
yeah. Have you got a clown?
Some lift music, yeah.
I wanted to just.
I'll give you a game of noughts and
I
crosses.
just wanted to say thanks, Dave, for coming over.
Okay.
This is a Monty Bojangles Scrumple Nutty.
That's easy for you to say.
It's written, it's read it.
So I thought you might like some Scrumple Nutty.
So thanks, mate. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
very
over.
much.
He actually comes 150-mile round trip to be with us today, so it's no small feat, and it's 2 degrees.
It was -2 at home.
-2 at home, yeah, but you brought the warmth with you,
I
mate.
did.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your time. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching, Delboy guys. That's been the last in the current little series of
But
3.
we'll be back.
We will be back when we do some more. New season about to start. Everybody have a fantastic safe riding
Get on
year.
our forum and come and meet everyone.
Join the forum, link below. It's great to meet the forum. We went from what? The last time, episode 6, we had 534 members. We currently have
About
1,560.
Wow.
Yep.
We have gained over 1,000 members since the last series of this.
But get out
So-
and meet.
Let's get out and meet, and that's the greatest thing. So join the forum. Let's see if by this time next year we can have 2,500 or maybe even 3,000 members, which would be rather fantastic, don't you think?
Yep.
Take it easy, ride safe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.